right, Aiwass. Blake, welcome back to the Slightly Fuzzed podcast. Wade and Mike, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
I appreciate you guys being on. A lot has changed. I think you were on episode 18, 19, something around there.
Something like that. It was pretty early, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot has changed just in the last 20 episodes or something.
Yeah.
I think when you were on, you had maybe just put out Wayward Gods, it was just being released at that point.
Yeah, it was pretty fresh.
So since then, I mean, the amount of shows and new band members and all that kind of stuff, a lot has changed since then. So how is it going for Aiwass these days?
It's going fucking crazy. Yeah. I mean, ever since the Monolord show, man, things have really been skyrocketing. We're doing a repress of the vinyl. We've got some shows coming up. We've got a tour coming up in July. It's all over the place, but largely thanks to these two.
Yeah. So how did that happen? Because I think that when you were on last time, you were kicking around the idea of maybe playing with a full band, so you could do more shows, that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Maybe you just kept it close to the chest. But I don't know that these two were specifically involved at that point. Maybe, I don't know.
I think at that point I just started talking to them a little bit.
We may have jammed once.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah. So we had an informal jam session, just to kind of get to know each other a little bit. I hit up Wade first, and we hit it off, and he was like, "You want a bassist?" And I was like, "Yeah, bassist would probably be pretty good to have." So we brought in Mike, and it's like we were just jamming from the beginning, and it was just total chemistry.
Yeah.
It's kind of that type of thing of when you find musicians that you gel with, you have to immediately just pursue it. There's a certain kind of magic that's really, really hard to capture. Plus we get along really well. So that makes it really easy.
I mean, that's definitely important. And I'm not much of a musician, but I've played with a few dudes over the years and starting back in high school and shit. And there's been guys that I just love hanging out with and talking music and would play with them, and it would be great. But there's also people that were just musicians and we tried to play together and nothing happened. It wasn't fun. We didn't have the same kind of chemistry to really play on anything. So yeah, I would assume that once you find that, you got to kind of latch onto it.
Yeah. Once you know, for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to work or not work right away.
Yeah.
You can play with the most talented musicians I know I have in the past. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can have all the talent in the world, but if there's not that that spark, that you feel right off the bat, when Blake and I literally, he turned on his amp and it just immediately, we just started playing. And it just, I don't know, we went to
I guess you 12 minute thing. You could force it. Maybe, for a little while.
Yeah. Not a great recipe for success, though.
I'm sure there's plenty of bands that find success and then continue to force it after that because they don't want to give up on it, right? But
there's a lot of
Wade and Mike, you guys were in a band called hovenweep, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
And I didn't know that you guys were from Arizona. I knew that about the band, I don't know, a year or so ago, and I think there's a song on the Slightly Fuzzed playlist, and I thought it was a great record that you guys put out. So, but I don't know that I would put you guys necessarily in the same category. Aiwass and hovenweep don't really sound anything alike. Was this just kind of the music that you wanted to make, or how did hovenweep come about, and then what was it like kind of joining forces with Blake into this new project?
I mean, when we started hovenweep, we were just wanted to do just kind of slower, groovier songs. It was a 3-piece at first, and then we added keyboards and all that. Super fun for a while, but then I just want to play music in the end. It doesn't really matter as long as I like the music. It's not some poppy kind of shit. I just like playing music. So at the time, Hintz and I, we weren't really doing anything, and Blake hit me up, and I'm like, hey, cool, let's jam, let's do something, and kind of went from there.
So Blake, how has Aiwass changed as far as like musically now, or even process wise? I mean, you had full control over everything going into it. You put out the record on your own. Every aspect of it was controlled by you. And I think that I made the joke last time, like, if you do have some more people in on the band, like, is it going to be a collective, like, input, or is it just you going to be like directing people into what you want, you know? And what has that been like now that you have other people in the mix? Like, is it weird? Do you feel like you're kind of out of control, or is it welcome, like having other people's creative forces coming in? Or
I mean, I would say that, you know, depending on the day, I'm a lot more relaxed about the writing process now, because we actually work together on the songs. And even, you know, songs off of Wayward Gods that we have in our live set have changed pretty drastically. You know, like the beginning and ending of From Chains are different now. We decided to just, you know, partially just because we're a 3-piece, to take out the solos and just really ride the groove a lot more. But in terms of the new stuff that we're writing, you know, like we essentially have like a Dropbox that we all work in, you know, and we'll add in ideas there and feedback, you know, back and forth. You know, our group chat is pretty much constantly going, largely my fault. You know, and but everything from the music to the lyrics to the direction to artwork, you know, that we're working with, it's, you know, nothing is just like me saying, hey, we're doing this, learn your parts. It's more just like, what do you guys think? What should we do with this? What would be better? You know, like Wade came over, what was that, a couple weeks ago? You know, and we essentially tore apart a song that I'd been working on for about a month, because I was about to just lose my fucking mind. Yeah, we just had beers and tore it apart, you know. Me and Mike have, you know, weekly vocal practices where we just work on our vocals because we're doing, you know, vocal harmonies. So just, you know, everything is as far from kind of a dictatorial direction as I can make it.
yeah, it sounds like you guys are like a real band.
But yeah. Like, I mean, you know, it's not going to be like written by Blake Carrera on the second album. It's going to be everything's, you know, written and composed by Aiwass, because it's true.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously with the three of you sitting there, maybe you're not going to be as honest, but to me, like, it's going from like a solo thing. If I brought someone into like Slightly Fuzzed, I mean, I would have a real hard time giving up control over shit, you know?
It's been good for me, both songwriting and just mentally.
Yeah.
To cede some control and cede some responsibility over, you know, like we were just talking today about different things that we're going to start doing, in terms of some of our marketing approaches and division of labor, and making sure that, you know, we're all, you know, have our roles, and making sure that it's, you know, not so much just, hey, Blake is, you know, behind this and this and this and this, you know, it's now we all have our responsibilities.
Right. It's been cool to like kind of watch the growth of it, because like I said, like when you and I kind of started talking, or even had you on the podcast, it was like you had a song out or a couple songs out, and you were in the process of getting that first album out. But like getting to know you over that time and seeing like, we have a single out, now we have an album out, now we have vinyl out, and now there's reception, now there's like really great comments coming in, now there's like good reviews coming in, now there's like people interested in it, now they're sharing it, and now things are growing, now we're doing shows with big bands, and like now we're doing a repress, like, you know, just seeing like all that shit happen kind of from like the ground level is cool to watch. I mean, and I've gotten to know a lot of bands and stuff through Slightly Fuzzed and stuff like that, but just seeing kind of like the evolution of a band, you know, because it started as a one person thing to this band, and the reception to it and people's thoughts on it and stuff has just been like awesome to watch.
it's been awesome to experience.
It's been fast. Yeah. It's been fast. What, you released in December?
November 5th.
November. So
yeah.
5 months now. 6
Yeah.
months.
And we've only, I mean, we didn't really get going on practice, you know, like working on our set until what, like January?
Yeah. After the New Year, that's when like I had an idea that I wanted to play that Monolord show, but it was just a matter of getting approval from their touring manager and whatnot. And but I always had it, and they're like, no, we're gonna play that show. Let's be show ready by March. So we definitely got down to business and practiced all the time and really ironed out our set, and especially with adding some new material and along with some of the older stuff. So it's been cool, man.
Yeah. So let's talk about that Monolord show, because Blake, I know you're a huge fan of Monolord. I mean, we talked about it on the last podcast, and like I think you were on the episode after Thomas.
Yeah, you slotted me right in there after Thomas Yeager. I didn't at all have an inferiority complex or anything.
Yeah. But I didn't even know that you were such a big fan going into it, and like to even back then, long before the show like was even a thing, like to hear that you were such a fan of Monolord and stuff like that, you know, and then fast forward, I don't know what it was, a handful of months, and hearing that you're going to open up for them. I mean, you and I have talked about it a little bit, but like, what was that like? What did it feel like to either get the invite and know you're going to be on it, but show up that morning and be like, we're gonna meet them, we're gonna play with them, we're gonna be on the same stage, we're gonna see the banner behind us while we play. Like, you know, what was that like?
Surreal, I would say, is probably the best way to describe it. Getting to share the stage with people that you really admire, can be a little nerve-wracking, without a doubt. But, someone put it to me this, I mean, these guys, because you guys had opened in a previous band for Monolord. So,
okay, really? No.
Yeah, these guys were just like, it's just Monolord.
No, we're a Monolord shirt.
It was a really big honor, and we ended up just having a great time, and just decided to start off with a really small act for our first show.
Yeah, sold out show.
Yeah, just a sold out show at a legendary venue opening for Monolord and Fire Breather.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it was just it was really cool, and went into especially as long as I'm on stage with these guys, like I'm pretty calm and collected. At first I was a little shitting myself, to be completely honest. But as we practiced more, as we really honed our set and our sound and how we sound together, it became a lot easier. And the day of was actually just a really relaxing day. Had a buddy come into town from Utter Scorn. He helped us with a lot of our loading in and loading out, so that was really awesome. So that kind of helped a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was fantastic.
What did you get to hang with any of the guys in Fire Breather or Monolord? I mean, did you get any feedback from anyone? Did they talk about your set or the band, or I mean, did you get any sort of feedback from anybody?
I think we all talked to each one of the band members briefly.
Yeah.
Talked to some more than others. I talked to Thomas for a second before we wrapped up, and
Nicholas
as the club was flowing.
Yeah, Nicholas and Fire Breather, he was really cool. Chatted us up.
They were on the tail end of a long tour with bus breaks on and everything else. So, I'm sure, they were probably just resting before the show. I think they had to go from Dallas. Morning.
So we were told they drove from Dallas, which is I know very well is a 16-hour drive to get here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's like 16, 17 hours from Austin to Illinois, because I've made that trip a bunch of times, and it doesn't seem like it's that far from Dallas to Arizona. It seems like they're right next to each other, but Texas is so fucking big that
Yeah, and you're
going hours to anywhere, I guess.
And then New Mexico.
Yeah, and then you got New Mexico, and then you got a little bit of Arizona to get through.
Yeah,
long
drive. So yeah, they were, but they were great. Everybody was great. Fire Breather, awesome,
cool dudes.
Yeah, seeing them live was great.
I mean, their entire team, honestly, like their roadies and whatnot, merch people, everybody was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like there was any kind of like disdain for the little local band, like they treated us like like musicians.
Right. I think that you said that it was a pretty big, decent sized venue, right? I mean, but when they played in Chicago, I think it was Reggie's, which is pretty small, I think.
This is a smaller venue.
It's 350 max, I think. I think probably depends on the band. They'll pack in extra people if needed, but it's like 350. It's not terrible.
Was playing on like in the venue different for you guys? Was it like bigger than normal? Was it weird on the big stage with their kind of setup behind you, or is that kind of what you're used to?
I mean, we've played that venue a few times. Last time they came through, they were actually playing a bigger venue, just a bigger stage, different setup. I mean, still like people-wise, still about like 350 through like 400, but it was just it was an old movie theater they turned into a venue, and like way bigger stage, a lot more room to kind of like for these guys to move around. But no, I mean, this is like really famous venue in Arizona. Like it used to be called the Mason Jar, but like every band that was a band played there, like Nirvana, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, like
Soundgarden, Black Flag.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
It was super cool to play there again. I know it was Blake's first time, and he was geeking out over it. And I kind of
just a little bit
flyers of it's like, oh, what Nirvana and Soundgarden play together? I'm like, yeah, here's a flyer of them playing that venue together.
Yeah. It really nerves.
But on that topic, like, dude, you did awesome. Like,
yeah, thanks, you man. You guys were
like
great.
He was very calm, collected. He owned his shit, and he fucking crushed it.
So you said that there was a couple new tracks in there in the set, or
song in the set list.
Okay,
it'll be on the second album.
Was that recorded? Does anyone get a sneak peek of that before any new music is released?
Maybe. We were having some mic trouble on my end a little bit during that song, but there might be some bits and pieces that come out. It's a cool song. We're really proud of it. We worked really hard on it, and I had a lot of the kind of bones of it, and these guys just took it and made it a whole different level. We realized it was kind of with how I had originally written a lot of the bones, it was really repetitive, and these guys were like, no, that's not gonna fly. So we worked on revamping things, wrote new lyrics to it. We wrote a really fun bridge to play that's a lot of fun.
It's a burner.
Yeah,
it's good.
So I kind of already asked this, but I want to ask you again. Like, has the music changed from from Wayward Gods, at least? Is it becoming more melodic? Is it becoming darker? Is it becoming faster? Is it anything that you feel like is getting kind of warped into?
Yeah,
the answer is yes.
Yeah, it's getting darker. Or some stuff's faster.
I mean, Wayward Gods was pretty dark, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely you're gonna get your fair share of darkness. Don't worry about that. I don't know. These guys would be better equipped to answer that question than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. It definitely is more of a burner. The new song. It's not as dark as the other ones, but I think what we did with the Wayward God songs made them so much more accessible live, and some of the things we do, we're very responsive to at the Monolord show, as far as little trick things. It's fun. It's fun, but yeah, we definitely are getting our live set honed in. It's good, and these songs are turning into a little new amalgamation of all of our musical styles. So
very much so.
It's good.
We've all left our footprint on both the Wayward God songs as they're now presented on the live set, as well as the new songs that we're writing. You know, there's a little bit of each of us in it.
Gotcha. So Blake, what do you think? And this is going to sound like a weird question to ask, but I feel like when you're making something, whether it's art or music or whatever, I mean, you're almost too close to it, and you feel maybe it's good, or maybe you feel like it's terrible, and you hope people think it's good, and people give you their feedback in different ways, and they say, "Oh no, it's great" or whatever. But the feedback that you've gotten for Wayward Gods has been like, in my opinion, amazing. I mean, people have really appreciated it and really seem to dig it. So what is it about, what to you do you think is it about Wayward Gods that draws people to it? I mean, what is it that sets it apart from other things? What is it that people are drawn to about Wayward Gods specifically that seem to be connecting with people? And maybe that sounds like a clunky question, but I feel like when you're making art, you go, I did the best I could, I like it, or I don't like it, or whatever, and people connect with it or they don't. But in your opinion, what is it about that album that people seem to really be digging right now?
I mean, I think people are really attracted to the darkness and the heaviness of it. You know, the vocals aren't necessarily the most intelligible, but you know, especially if you read the vocals, if you pick up the vinyl or you know the CD or whatever, you know, I think that people connect with the lyrics to a certain extent. You know, they're super personal songs. You know, and I wanted them to be relatable to people going through some shit, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, what was it that you guys liked about it? Because obviously you joined the band, so.
It's fucking heavy, dude. It is fucking heavy. And it's not like, I mean, there's all different types of heavy, but it's not, I don't know. It's like simplistic, but like in a good way. It's not like you don't have to like over process it and overthink it. You just enjoy it. And like, I mean, the one song that I heard was Man is God, is the first one, and it was like a fucking freight train just running me over. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, great melody. Like, I think you were mentioning before in an interview, like something like galloping fucking stampede or some shit, like an army marching through, and that's exactly what it felt like. And that's actually the first song we learned together as a group. It just felt really good. We changed it up a little bit, but it still fucking just demolishes.
I think there's a lot of sincerity in it too. Like you can tell, you can smell fake. You know, people are just put on a show, and there's nothing fake about Aiwass. I mean, everything Blake's written or writing now is pretty personal, and it's just straight up doomy awesomeness.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't want to, you know, like when I was writing the first album, and as we're writing the second album, you know, we didn't want to just fall into like tropes, you know, like Man is God, you know, like you're saying, it's one of our most popular songs, arguably the most popular, and it doesn't have a fucking chorus. You know, the chorus is guitar, you know. So
yeah,
I think we were playing with catchy song structure, but messing with it a little bit as well. And I think that kind of interested people.
Yeah, right on. So also in that time, Blake, you started doing some like reviews and interviews and stuff for the Ripple Effect.
Yeah, that started about a month or two ago.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you had talked to Todd a few times and stuff like that, so I'm not surprised that he put you to work on something. But what is it like, talking to some of these bigger bands? I mean, you talked to Acid Mammoth and Stoner and stuff like that. I mean, to be kind of like thrown into that, did you have a background in some of this kind of stuff, or did he just kind of throw you to the wolves there, or what?
Somewhat. I was an English major, and then I got my master's in creative writing. And when I was in grad school, one of the side jobs is you can't live off of the teaching stipend that you get. But I worked for an arts and entertainment newspaper when I lived up in Flagstaff. So I'd had the opportunity to interview different bands before they would come through town and stuff. So But nothing quite as fun as this, you know, because I'm getting to talk to bands that I love, you know.
Yeah.
Do
you do like phone interviews, or how do you conduct this?
Over email, just because a lot of the bands that I've interviewed, you know, because I've done reviews and interviews mostly for Ripple Effect, yeah, I mean, a lot of the bands that I've interviewed are over in Europe, so it kind of makes a phone interview pretty hard, especially you know, they've got work schedules, you know, because it's Doom is not the most profitable genre.
Yeah. I figured that out even with the podcast. Like I've tried to manage schedules with people in like Australia or Sweden or something, and it's like we all have full-time jobs, but also we're on like a 12-hour difference time zone wise. Plus, like I have kids that I'm trying to put to bed. Plus, like I don't want to do it in the morning really because I you know, I'm just not very interesting at that time of the day. So like you know, I'm trying to find some time where I can have a couple drinks maybe or something, and like it's tough finding that schedule, but
yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's pretty rad though that you get to talk to some of these bands and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Acid Mammoth, Haze Maze, there's quite a few in the works right now as well.
Yeah.
So it's just been a good time, you know. I mean, I get to flex different writing muscles, and I get to just talk about music with people that I respect.
Yeah. Have you found anything like particularly interesting from any of these bands so far that you weren't quite expecting, or?
I mean, I've gotten to know a lot of them just as people outside of it. You know, like Ludwig from Haze Maze gives me just crazy off the wall like 70s Swedish prog recommendations to check out. So I found some pretty cool bands that way.
Yeah.
You know, and Chris from Acid Mammoth, you know, we talk about B movies a lot. So he turned me on to one of my favorite movies I've actually ever seen.
What's that?
Simon, King of the Witches. It's pretty weird, like 1970s occult like B movie.
How do you find that movie? Where can you stream it or download it or whatever? How do you find it?
I found this. I have like a TV that has apps and stuff, and I found this random app that had it with ads, so you kind of have to sit through that. I think it's called like TV or something like that. Yeah. So you have to sit through ads, but it's worth it.
Nice. I reached out to Chris and I'd love to have him on the podcast and stuff sometime, but he was posting old clips of like him and his friends back in like, I don't know, middle school or something. And they were like making their own movies, and he would post clips in like the stories or whatever on Instagram. And I messaged him and I was like, man, I used to do the same fucking thing with my friends. And it was like right when like Scream came out. So we like had the mask, like that ghost face mask, and we would like we'd run around chasing each other and like stabbing each other with knives and like had fake blood and like all this stuff. So like, you know, just like making your own dumb movies, and they were terrible. It was like on the big camcorder on your shoulder, you know. So we'd carry that around, this giant thing, and then we'd record these like horror movies. And I was thinking, and I told him this, I was like, I have kids now. I can only imagine if my kid came home, even if they were in middle school, and was like, this is what we did over there, and it's like this movie where we're like murdering each other. I'm like, what the fuck? No way. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm not gonna do that. But that's what we did. I'd go over to a friend's house and we'd like fake murder each other for 45 minutes and on tape, and then we'd go home. It was like
casual.
Where were our parents? Like, we're just making these like little kids snuff films, and they were just like, well, they're having fun.
Like kids.
Different times, man. Different times. I mean, I have kids of my own, and I'm the same way. I'm like, some of the shit that I did as a kid, I was like, oh, and then they're trying to do now. I'm like, nope, you can't do that.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I told him that he should like turn some of those old videos into like an Acid Mammoth music video though, because that would be cool.
Oh, that'd be rad. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, we grew up with a pretty successful filmmaker, Scott Condit. He owns or one of the owners of Defensive Marketing Group here in Phoenix. So that handy cam thing and then stupid movies used to make, he actually made a career out of it. He's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So sometimes it works out, but we had the same childhood. So
we tried. I mean, mostly it was like horror movies, but we tried making like a comedy movie one time too, which was like so bad. I mean, like with a horror movie, at least you're killing each other. That's at least entertaining. You try to like write a comedy movie when you're like, I don't know, 13 years old or something. Terrible. No writing skills.
Yeah, we got to see that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you post that as an extra.
I'm sure it's just awful. But
what did we do? We did the wannabe Pantera home videos for our band.
Yeah.
Or like we're the cool death metal band in town.
It's fun.
Yeah. So what is next for Aiwass? You know, do you have shows lined up? Are you going to go back into the studio anytime soon? What are you thinking?
So we've got one show in June. We've got some, everything is kind of vague at this point. We'll have more and more announcements coming pretty quick like. And then in July, we're actually doing a tour across the country. We're doing a 1-week tour. We'll be announcing who we'll be touring with and some of those gigs hopefully in the next week or so. But yeah, so that's kind of the focus right now. Is really beefing up the live set and getting it ready for a tour. And then after that, and we're going to use the tour as a way to really work out some of the kinks in some of these new songs. There's no better place than the stage to discover what works and what doesn't. These people will let you know. So that's exciting. And then hopefully we can set aside some money from vinyl and from touring to head into the studio. Hopefully not too long after we get back is the goal.
Okay, so later this year, late this year, get back in the studio maybe.
Yeah, we were going to record the second album sooner, but we wanted to actually finally tour on some Wayward Gods material.
Yeah,
and we wanted to really get a little bit more out there. You especially in Doom, you've got to tour. That's you can have as much of an online presence as you want, but touring is the bread and butter.
Yeah, and I feel like this probably goes without saying, and you could probably say it about any genre of music ever, but like there's certain elements of like Doom music specifically that I appreciate so much more in a live setting. Like I'm not one to really sit down and listen to like some 14-minute slow sludgy song. Like I just don't have the patience for it. I don't think when it's like in my ears. But if I go to a concert, you can give me feedback for 26 minutes and I'd be fine with it. But I can't sit there and listen to it on my headphones.
I'll write that down as a note.
I just can't listen. I can't listen to it when I'm like working out. Just like these like 3 riff 14-minute songs. I can't do it. But if I'm at a show at a venue, like I'm all for it. It just hits different. So
yeah, you have all the 10-inch, 12-inch speakers vibrating your jeans and soul. Yeah. You might have a little bit illicit substances on board. Yeah, it definitely works out. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. All right. I want to do a segment, maybe my favorite segment that we do because it's extra dumb. It's just called Dumb Questions. And these are dumb. So you can answer with a sincere answer if you'd like, or you can give a dumb answer. It's really up to you.
Perfect.
So the first question is that a lot of cover songs done in like a heavy way are pretty interesting, and a lot of bands do them. Would you ever consider doing a cover of the Kansas classic "Carry On My Wayward Son" and call it Kansas "Carry On My Wayward Gods"?
Yes, now we are.
Now we have a plan. We were literally just talking about how we wanted to add a cover song into the live set.
Yeah.
So you might have just solved a band dilemma.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
What could be better?
All right, Blake, you often wear a vest with no shirt underneath on stage. We've talked a little bit about being bigger dudes ourselves and maybe drinking too much, and now you're in a band. So why not change the name to A Waste?
That was actually the alternate name. We weren't, we were like, why not just change it?
Yeah. Did you consider changing the name?
Waste, by the way. That way, It's,
the correct response to that was, "Hey man, that's below the belt."
Oh.
Did you ever consider changing the name though? I mean, you kind of like already had this like kind of momentum built with Aiwass, so even though you like became a band, I feel like it wasn't really necessary.
Yeah, dude, it just took off. I mean, when I first started all this, I just chose the name because I thought it sounded cool because I was reading a bunch of Aleister Crowley, and people seem to like it, so I guess we'll stick with it.
All right.
Well, we'll keep that as a backup.
Yeah, that's the backup, just in case.
As the waste grows, it's it might not be a bad idea.
That's right. Let's talk about Monday.
Yeah.
All right. One of my favorite Aiwass songs, and we talked about this already, Man is God. So which man could you consider a god? Manny Pacquiao, Manfred Mann, or Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Personally, I'm going to go with Manfred Mann. I actually really dig Manfred Mann's Earth Band. It's kind of a fun listen.
Yeah.
That was
final answer, everybody? Manfred Mann?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Pacquiao is cool.
Yeah, I like Pacquiao.
A little small.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, kick my ass, but
let's get that on stage.
Yeah.
All right, so this is slightly less dumb than the others, but it depends how you answer it, I guess. Aiwass is the name given to a voice that Aleister Crowley reportedly heard back in 1904. So let's assume that you can speak directly to him. What would you say?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Damn. Should have shaved your head earlier.
Yeah.
Coming from a bald man, once it starts going, just own it, accept it. You gotta sometimes just rock it. I think he might have had a lot better sex magic if he just shaved his head sooner.
I would love that if this like mystical voice came to him and just said, "Dude, shave your head."
Yeah, I had that voice when I found my first bald patch, so it was a very loud voice.
So you guys are a band now. Sometimes bands have disagreements. You spend too much time together. You have creative differences, etc. If you had to kick one person out, who would it be and why?
Oh, shit.
But your beard's really nice.
Yeah, man. You got the good beard going.
Just like to see you guys play live, not have to do anything. That'd be good.
Yeah, that would be nice, actually. I'm gonna kick myself out.
Yeah, we're gonna do the same thing.
Yeah,
we just want to watch each other play.
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys look live?
Yeah,
very diplomatic of you. Very diplomatic.
No, I honestly don't think we could do it without the three of us. I think if you subtracted one of us and put someone else, it wouldn't be the same. And I couldn't write these songs without these guys. They're not going to sound the same. They're not going to be as good. It's an essential thing. And yeah, I mean, if one of these guys tapped out, I don't know if I'd really want to keep it going.
Fair enough.
Which we don't.
All right, last question. Blake, this one is specifically for you.
Uh-oh.
You've mentioned before that you enjoy Bruce Springsteen. So the question is, why?
I think just a brilliant songwriter. We actually were just having this discussion. I had an idea that was very quickly shot down. I don't know. I mean, his lyrics really connect with me, man. It took me a long time. It wasn't until my like late 20s that I got into Springsteen. I actually fucking hated him until then. And I guess you just got to have that moment that connects with you, or doesn't.
Yeah. I don't know. I've tried. I just can't think I do it.
I don't hate Springsteen. I just, whatever.
I'm not a fan of Boss. No.
He fucking hates him.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to list off your list of bands that you hate?
Chili Peppers, Green Day, and Springsteen.
You're leaving out 2 ones that I was pretty pissed about, but we'll let that slide.
You're not gonna mention
Janis Joplin and Rolling Stones.
Yeah, not a fan. Or Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart. Yeah, I mean, I don't know of anyone that listens to like Rod Stewart solo and it's like, yeah.
Sabbath.
Yeah.
Zeppelin. Yeah, I didn't fuck with the Stones.
Oh, I thought you were saying you didn't like Sabbath. I was like, what? How did we not?
Who was the first one? You said before the Stones. Who was the first one?
Janis Joplin.
Oh, Janis Joplin. Okay.
Yeah, just a little Grady to me, and I know a lot of people wrote her songs, so there's just not much going on there for me.
I don't really know her like full catalog very well, but the songs that I do know, I like.
Okay, to each his own. Yeah. I just
she's a Texas girl, so I gotta support her.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, fuck
That's where it comes from.
All right, that was dumb questions. So thanks for answering some dumb questions.
Great.
Not dumb at all. Well,
there's a couple pretty dumb ones in there. So what's going on in the Arizona scene, or what kind of music are you guys listening to right now? What kind of stuff are you into?
And it's all over the place. I probably have the most all over the place tastes in the band as my love for Bruce Springsteen and Enya shows.
Enya slaps.
And Enya does slap, you know. She is the black metal of easy listening. All right.
That's the correct case.
I don't know. I feel like we've all been going to just a shit ton of live shows lately.
Yeah. Well, you guys, Arizona really does. I mean, right, especially where you guys are with like the Yucca Tap Room or whatever. Like, there's just so many good shows going on right there. And like, I live in Rockford, where there's absolutely no one coming through this town ever. Or you go into Chicago, and it's like, yeah, there's some of those bands, but a lot of those bands that I like that are going through Texas and Arizona and stuff, they still don't really make it to the Midwest. They still don't really do a tour through Chicago. I mean, it's just like, even the bands that I do like don't really even hit Chicago. So yeah, Monolord does make it there. You know, Uncle Acid makes it there, that kind of stuff. But like, that's it. Like, there's not really like these smaller, like mid-level, low-level bands that are playing those kind of shows where you can just go on like a Tuesday night and pay $6 to get in. Like, that just doesn't really exist in my world here. So you guys are pretty fortunate to have like those kind of venues and stuff down there, and the scene itself.
Fortunate, but broke and tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of late nights. Yeah. Yeah. The scene is great here. It's been incredible. We always play shows. We have a bunch of brother bands, people we're close with, you know, from our previous band too, that's transferred directly to this. So it's been great. You know, Chris Beck from Doom Tomb. He kind of, he knows everybody in town, and probably like you across the country.
The godfather of the Arizona music scene.
Yeah, he's doing great for everybody. So
he's everyone's favorite uncle.
No, it's a great scene. It's great.
Yeah.
Very fortunate.
Yeah, I'm jealous for sure. I mean, and there's a lot of cities like that, but it just doesn't seem like it's happening around here too much. The Midwest just seems kind of quiet. Or it's like, I mean, they're so spread out too. I mean, you can go to like Philadelphia and like the nearest city is like an hour away and they have a scene, and then another hour they have a scene, another hour there's a scene. Whereas here in the Midwest, it's like there's Chicago, and then you go 6 hours maybe somewhere else, and there's like you know a couple bands, but it's just so spread out here that I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's like, I mean, it's even just the homegrown scene here, you know, is really good. I mean, we've got a lot of, you know, like your just shows that might not even have like a touring, you know, headliner or whatever. That'll just be a collection of local bands are generally pretty fucking sick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's
there's a lot of undiscovered talent here in town for sure.
Yeah,
a lot of guys that have been doing it for a long time and very talented. So
very much so.
So Blake, we talked a little bit about you going to shows and people like kind of starting to recognize you and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what does that feel like? And for one thing, like, how do they recognize you in the first place? Is it from like being at all these shows in Arizona, or like they like do their research on the band, like behind the scenes?
I guess it's a combo.
Okay.
You know, if they've followed the Instagram for a while, you know, like I've had people come up and be like, "Are you Blake?" And I'm like, "I don't know, maybe." Depends. But you know, like I was at a show last week. It was Resin came through town.
They're actually from Chicago, like the one band that I mentioned.
And this guy came up to me and he was like, "You're Blake," and I was like, "I guess so." And he like had on a flannel shirt over a t-shirt, and he pulls open the flannel shirt and he's got on an Aiwass shirt that he got at the Monolord show.
Oh no shit!
That's when things really changed.
That's wild. I mean, that's got to feel really weird. I can only imagine. Like if I just showed up like at an airport and some guy was wearing a slightly fuzz shirt, like my head would explode. You know, like it's just got to be really weird to like see people out in the wild that are like fans. I mean, they weren't expecting to see you necessarily, so it's like they were just fans. They just were wearing the shirt.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that at the show. Like nobody heard of the band, and I pretty much we won over that audience for certain. There was just the feedback just right after. Like there was so many people like in the Spoken area just talking to us like, "Holy shit, where were you guys? How have I not heard about you yet?" So it's been pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean the goal is always to every time you play make some new fans, you know, and it seems like we did a pretty good job of that.
It's a good place to start. It's a Monolord show, I suppose.
Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah, we're just slumming it.
Yeah. Well, I know that you have the repress going right now for Wayward Gods. Is there anything else that you want to tell anybody else to go check out, go see?
Give us a follow on Spotify, on Bandcamp, on Instagram, and we'll be announcing more details about our tour in the coming weeks. So pick up a vinyl and keep an eye out for us when we come through to a town near you.
And you did cassettes too. Do you have any cassettes left? You sell those out already?
Cassettes are gone. We have CDs and we have one small shirt left.
Awesome.
We'll be making more.
Yeah, we're getting more shirts soon. But for all those Doom fans who wear size small, we got you.
There's no Doom fans that wear small.
Yeah, we found that out.
Yeah.
Sure. We're out of XLs in about 30 seconds. So.
Yeah. It's an XL and L world out there.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for being on, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you this summer at some point if you are doing a Midwest thing, and hearing what you guys are putting out next. So.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Thanks
Thank you
again
for
for
having
having
us
us
on. Yeah.
All right. Later.
See you, man.